Hi, Dr. Emron here with Spring Cure. I want to share with you something that's really important for making sure your nutrition goes in the right direction. A lot of people start trying to lose weight and they don't know exactly what to do. They may use diet drinks, they may use shakes, they may use exercise, but one of the things you need to focus on is what are you actually eating? And one of the most important things you need to do is make sure you pay attention to what's called the glycemic index of the foods that you eat. Now, what is glycemic index? Glycemic index is how high a certain food raises your blood sugar after you eat it. Now, glycemic index may indicate how high your blood sugar goes immediately, but it also can determine how high your blood sugar can go over time. Now, this is really important for not only diabetics, but also for people who are trying to lose weight. For those of you who are ridiculously skinny and in great health, glycemic index doesn't play as large a role in your fitness as it does in somebody who's actually trying to lose weight or somebody who's diabetic. So pay attention to it, but don't pay as much attention to it. All right, so what does it mean? So there's certain foods, such as the processed foods, things that have a lot of processed, refined carbohydrates, things that have wheat, things that have corn, things that have sugar. All of these products can raise your blood sugar very high, including some very commonly eaten breakfast foods, things like cereals, things like muffins, things like bagels. All of these can raise your blood sugar very rapidly. When you raise your blood sugar, this actually stimulates insulin secretion. Insulin, unfortunately, is a fat-storing hormone. So when we raise our blood sugar too fast, we increase our insulin, we store fat immediately. So we want to try to keep our blood sugar from going too high. The other thing that happens when we raise our blood sugar high and we get that insulin release, our blood sugar then plummets. When our blood sugar plummets, we start getting shaky, we start getting tired, we start getting hungry, and we eat again. So not only do we store fat from that insulin, but now we find ourselves hungry and eating again really, really fast. So we want things that are lower glycemic so we don't get that insulin rush, we don't get the crash, and we don't get the overeating afterwards. So some of the things that you can do to make sure that you're eating a healthy diet, eating healthy nutrition with low glycemic index. Number one, make sure that you have plenty of vegetables. Vegetables overall have a lower glycemic index because they contain very few sugars and they have a high fiber content. So things that wouldn't be considered as vegetables in my book and would have a higher glycemic index are things like corn, things like potatoes. Corn is a grain, it's not really a vegetable, and potatoes, it's just, nowadays they're just pure starch. Very few potatoes contain the nutrition they used to years ago. So making sure that you have leafy vegetables, green vegetables, stems, leaves, and so forth, some of the root vegetables as well, but be careful, some of them contain high sugar content, so again, their glycemic index may be a little bit higher. And absolutely avoid processed foods because processed foods tend to contain much higher glycemic index. Now, one of the things I'd also like to caution you about is there are certain foods that when they're prepared different ways can change the glycemic index. For instance, beans are an extremely healthy source of protein. They contain a lot of fiber and they contain healthy carbs and they have a very low glycemic index. But you take something like beans and you buy them canned, where they've been pre-processed, processed under pressure and tremendous amounts of heat, and then canned, the glycemic index almost doubles. So it goes from being a really healthy food to being something that's incredibly unhealthy. It's almost like eating sugar out of a can. So you also want to be careful because even the processing of the same food that's healthy can make it unhealthy. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope that helped, and we'll see you at the next video.